Hello, everybody. It's Mrs. Pound. We are finishing up Chapter 21 today on incoming substances from BJU Biology's 4th edition. We have been studying Section 21B on the digestive system. So our objectives for today's video will be to identify digestive enzymes in foods they digest, define adipose tissue and know its functions, and recognize the two major types of vitamins. So our focus today will be Section 21.5 on foods and digestion. So digestion starts in the mouth, both mechanical digestion, which we do with mastication by chewing our food, and chemical digestion because salivary enzymes begin the breaking down of starches into sugars. So the specific enzyme is amylase, but it does start down that breakdown. And so if you were to put a cracker in your mouth, you might realize if you kept that cracker in there for a very long time, something very starchy, that after a while it might start to taste sweet if you keep it in your mouth. And that is due to the enzymes. Also, in our food, talking about carbohydrates in particular, food fiber is essentially indigestible carbohydrates. So you're told that a diet high in fiber is good for you. And so things like beans are high in fiber. Also, many fruits and vegetables also have a lot of fiber in it, just those indigestible, basically cell walls of the plants. And what that does is it just helps to clean out your system. It helps to push food through as well. And so it is very good for you. We also need to have protein in our diets, and a diet containing proteins is important for body growth and repair. We need proteins so that we can break down the proteins into the amino acids to make our own proteins in our bodies so that we can build strong muscles, which are made of protein, and so that we can also make all of the enzymes we need to carry out all of the chemical reactions in our body, and including breaking down food. And chemical digestion of protein does start in the stomach with an enzyme called pepsin that breaks down the peptide bonds between the amino acids. Fats also are an important part of our diet. Fats are emulsified by bile. That means that they're broken down into droplets. They are digested. The digestion of fats starts in the small intestine where there's lipase, because another name for fats is lipids, and then absorbed through the villi of the small intestine. Now, fat is one of those things you don't want too much of because it's high in calories, but fat is an important nutrient that we also need in our bodies. Now let's talk about adipose tissue. Adipose tissue stores fat, so that is the name for basically fat tissue in your body. It's found under the skin, between muscles, behind the eyeballs, on the heart, and between most internal organs. So it is very important for our body. It has three functions: a future supply of energy, because it is high in energy, insulation from cold, and a layer that protects from physical injury. As we can see the seal in the background, the seal has a lot of fat on it, and that is to insulate the animal from the cold. It's also to provide a supply of energy in case food is not available for the animal. It has that extra supply. And as I said, it can also help protect from injury. It acts as a buffer and cushions blows. Now let's talk about vitamins. Vitamins are an important part of our diet as well. We get vitamins from a lot of fruits and vegetables are an excellent source of vitamins. And there are two types of vitamins. There are water-soluble vitamins that must be consumed daily because they are excreted in the urine. And this is most of our vitamins, especially vitamin C you hear a lot about. So we need to take those in. And honestly, We can take in as much as we want because our body is going to get rid of them. However, we also have fat soluble vitamins, and these are stored in the body fat. So I have a picture of a pig that is very plump in the background. So it has a lot of fat to store these vitamins in. And I also have that pig because a good source of fat soluble vitamins for us, depending upon the diet of the animal and its habits, is in fact animal fat. So things like lard in our diet are not necessarily a bad thing. We don't want a lot of it though, because lard, if the animal has spent a lot of time in the sun, is actually a good source of vitamin D, which in our area in the winter, we tend to lack vitamin D because we're not in the sun and vitamin D is made by our skin. So actually, good, healthy animal fats are good for our diet in our area so that we can get sufficient vitamin D. It is also added to our milk because vitamin D is important for calcium absorption. And finally, a really important vitamin we hear a lot about is vitamin C. And if we have a deficiency in vitamin C, it's best remedied by eating citrus fruits. Um, And vitamin C, we have a lot of good sources for that now. However, you may have heard of British sailors, especially in the Navy, being called limeys. This is because before they knew about vitamin C deficiencies, um, the sailors would get a disease called scurvy. And scurvy just plagued the Navy until they found out that they needed citrus fruit in their diet. And so the British soldiers started to eat limes, and therefore they were called limeys for doing that to prevent disease. So we generally don't have a problem with that nowadays. We get plenty of vitamin C, but it is best from citrus fruits and fruits that are sour, usually, things that are sour. So, our objectives today were to identify digestive enzymes in foods that digest, define adipose tissue and know its functions, and recognize the two major types of vitamins. Don't forget your 5 questions, and this is the last video for this chapter, so you should be studying for your test.